Today's episode of the A&D Show is brought to you proudly by Loot Crate and Dr. Squatch.
Here. You want to say something?
That's the dog. The dog doesn't have words. You're getting terrified. The dog is scared of the microphone. The dog will start barking, and then I will hit you. The dog will eat that. The dog is not a fan. So mean to my dog.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Wise words from Lulu the dumpster monkey.
She's not a dumpster monkey. She's just a dumpster dog. She's a garbage dog. I found her on the side of the road. That's not really true. I didn't find her on the side of the road, but see, you're scaring the dog. Bad dog. Monkey. This is the problem with Studio 3. This is a big house. Studio 3 is being overrun by four-legged animals.
Four-legged furry beasts of burden.
But I love them. I mean, they're good dogs. Well, usually.
They're all right.
Monkey has an affinity for chewing on McKinley's toys, but whatever, other than that.
And they both have an affinity for making me miserable at every given opportunity.
So do I.
Dirty, unqualified, probably indistinguishable from rambling. Welcome to the A&D Show.
Hello and welcome to the A&D Show. I'm David.
I'm Austin.
And boy, howdy, do we have a doozy of a show.
Boy, howdy.
For the likes of you folks today. What are we talking about today, Austin? I forgot.
We are talking about video
Pickles?
games.
Oh, man. When are we going to do our pickles episode?
I'm not much of a pickle fan, but that's fine.
Man, I had some pickles earlier today. I
What
go
kind?
to the Walmart, and I'll buy a whole
It's not
jar.
like it's not the Walmart. It's just Walmart.
I'll go to the Walmart, and I'll buy a whole jar of gherkins, dill gherkins. Any pickle fans out there, share some love for the gherkins. Man, there's some good pickles.
That's good stuff. I agree.
Good stuff. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. We're going to save that for an auxiliary bonus episode for all of our listeners that are also pickle fans. But today, we have a crazy episode. I'm surprised, honestly, Austin, that we haven't talked about this before now. How long? How many? What is this?
Second season for sure.
This is almost our 20th episode.
It's my word. It's been that long.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
Terrible.
we are almost 20 episodes into our show here, and we have yet to talk about what we're going to talk about today, which is gaming, video gaming.
I'm a fan.
I mean, I have my moments.
I'm going to be honest. I'm a fan of video gaming.
And here's the thing: video gaming, it's a past time, it's a present time, and it's inevitably a future time. So let's just start there. Let's start as a pastime. Austin? What was your first gaming system?
So my grandma had a Nintendo at her house,
Like a regular Nintendo?
like a regular Nintendo, the NES. And I remember I was a kid and I was super excited about it. Like I'd go over to her house just purely because if I go to her house, she would take me to Broadway Video in my hometown.
Broadway Video.
My hometown of Mattoon, Illinois. Give it up for the big M. She would take me to and I would always rent Mega Man. I got some Mega Man game. It was always Mega Man.
Hey, Mega Man was a solid game.
Right. And later in life, it became the Ninja Turtles game. But that's another story.
Naturally.
So I played Mega Man religiously. Like, it was the absolute greatest game in the world. Fast forward to that, I was like 4 or 5. And I fast forward to when it was 6. It was a Christmas of 1991. So I would have been 6. And we'd opened up all of our gifts for my parents, and my dad says, "Oh, there's one more right over there." And legitimately, I didn't see this last gift. Like, nobody saw it. And we opened it up, and it was a Nintendo with like a few games. And I didn't want to go to dinner that day. Like, I'm like, forget dinner, forget the family. This is what I want to do.
Oh, so we're not only talking about something near and dear to your heart, but we're talking about it in a season that is also near and dear to your experience with what's near and dear to your heart.
I love I love Christmas time.
Yeah, me too.
And
we are. Let me just do a quick shameless plug for the future of the A&D show. We have a whole month of Christmas themed episodes.
It's glorious,
coming your way, listeners.
Absolutely glorious.
And here's the thing: we're calling it the A&D Show Christmas. Actually, I didn't really think about that before I said it. So we're going to come up with something catchy, something
Probably
cool.
good. Yeah.
You know,
I agree. Monkey, please, dog, go away.
This dog is killing me right now.
So, like I said, I've always been, but I've had all the major systems. I had the Super Nintendo. I never now. I will say that I skipped the N64. Now I played GoldenEye a whole bunch.
That's a tragic experience.
Listen, I played GoldenEye a whole bunch, and I played Ocarina of Time a whole bunch. At my friend Casey's house because they had that, but I did not have a 64. I had a PS1, which we'll get to these discussions later. But my first system was a Nintendo, and I mean, like when I was a kid, like that hooked me. Like at that point, I was done with everything. That was my life.
You know, it's funny because you say that your first experience is with the original Nintendo, and mine was also with the original Nintendo. And I remember those giant cartridges, and it was really cool because you would push this button, and like half of the machine would open up like a transformer,
right?
And you had this giant plastic thing that you would just insert into the machine, and half the time it wouldn't work until you pulled it back out, blew it on it, and then stuck it back in there.
But you can't stick it in all the way. You had to kind of leave it like almost like the edge of the thing. Like when it goes down, like it almost clips.
Yeah.
At least that was with my Nintendo. Maybe mine was that janky. But I remember also like you would stuff a cartridge like to hold it down to make it work better. I don't know. Like maybe that was just my Nintendo.
I remember all of those. Oh, goodness gracious.
Edit this stupid thing in post.
This may be the first time we have to actually edit.
I'm about to have 2 less dogs in this house.
I remember though that that was not something that died when the Nintendo was over. Whenever they replaced it with its follow-up, the Super Nintendo.
Oh man!
And I remember it was even worse. Although the contraption was better because it wasn't like you insert the disc or the thing and then it closes. You literally just take the cartridge and you plug it in straight to the top of the machine. Right. And I remember thinking, "This is way cooler." And the games were obviously awesome, way more awesome.
Right.
But
now, I don't know that I would say that they were way more awesome. I don't.
There was a good number of the games that they didn't actually come out with as many up front. Like nowadays, when a new console comes out, it's almost immediately, even before the console is released to the public, that they come out with like 20 or 30 exclusive games to that console, and they release them as the game comes out or as the console comes out, right? But then it wasn't quite as much that case because I remember when the Super Nintendo was released, or at least whenever I got it, most of the games we had were just the same games from the other console, from the regular Nintendo, that were all like there was 15 games on one whatever the thing is called.
I remember being at my friend's house, and I remember the day that we beat Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah,
and I remember vividly. So this is going to be a shout out for Jeremy, Jake, Casey, and my sister Ashley. If you guys remember this,
do they listen to the show?
I don't know. I'd probably not.
If you listen to the show, let us know. We'd love to hear from you.
But I remember sitting there, and it was after school. It was about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and we were in crunch time because my mom picked us up at their house after school at about 5 or 5:30. Mm-hmm. So we knew that we were running out of time to beat this game. So we had just gotten to the end of Mario Brothers 3. We had 2 lives left, and we had to beat Bowser. And when we beat it, I remember we finally beat it, and we're jumping up and down and just hooping and hollering. And I mean, as a kid, like that was like the ultimate accomplishment, was like beating Mario 3. I beat the first Mario Brothers when I was like 6. I remember beating Mario 3. It was like 7 or 8 because that game was legitimately much harder than like the first Mario Brothers. Like it was so hard. We felt the same way whenever whenever we beat like Zelda, or Adventures of Link, and then the second Zelda game.
Zelda 2.
Was it Zelda 2?
I have no idea.
It was the Adventures of Link. Guy. It was the Adventures of Link was the first one.
Yeah. But
I can't remember if the second one was like Legend of Zelda or whatever it was. So, but that paled in comparison to beating Mario 3. And that to this day is one of my fondest memories of childhood. That and GoldenEye. 4-man split screen on a little 14-inch TV in someone's bedroom. Yeah, you got literally like, a 2x2-inch square that you're playing off of, and you don't screen watch, you cheaters. But like I remember sitting there playing that game, and GoldenEye was that game where like, we'd get together and we would play until 3, 4, 5 in the morning. My friend's dad would put it, stick his head at the door. You guys need to go to bed. Like, we didn't listen. It was great. Like, we
the
played
craziest
GoldenEye
thing,
all night.
About a year and a half ago, I actually found an old Nintendo 64 console. Let me back up before I go any further with that, though, because just to explain to our listeners, Nintendo 64 was the quintessential gaming console of my childhood. I say that because my first experience was with Nintendo, second was Super Nintendo, but the quintessential experience of gaming in my childhood was Nintendo 64, and it was world-changing. Whenever they came out with that, Super Mario 64, Donkey Kong 64, GoldenEye, this was a revolution in gameplay,
right,
in video game and graphics, which we'll talk about more later. But I just remember, I remember playing GoldenEye, like you're talking about 4-on-4. And what's funny is like I remember it vividly in my mind being this life-changing visual experience. And it was like so realistic and everything. Right. Well, and I went back about a year and a half ago, I found the console and it just happened to work. And the console had the actual original GoldenEye cartridge, and I took that bad boy and I snapped it in there, plugged it up with the red, white, yellow cables, and into this tiny little television. And I was looking at it and I was like, how could anybody ever be good at this? Because the visuals were so horrible. It was just so incredibly bad.
Now listen. Now I'll clap back at you on this, because I remember I was I remember on PS1 because I was always a PlayStation guy. Like I was always PS1, PS2, PS3, then to PS4. Now I'm back on a Switch, but like even then, I remember playing like Madden '99, and I remember it was '99 because that was the one that had Brett Favre on the cover. Go Pack Go, and I remember sitting there like looking at this football game and thinking to myself, there is no way the graphics could be any better than this.
Yeah.
There was literally no possible way to make a game look visually better than Madden 99. If you've played Madden 99, you know how bad the graphics are. I went back to the day and there was a YouTube video. They had all the Madden games like from like the first one to like today's generation. And like you look at like the graphics back then and how bad they're, but like back then you're thinking this looks so realistic. Mm-hmm. Like the physics of the game and the route running and the sports games were always the ones that you would play and be like, this looks so realistic. And then looking back, you're like, this was garbage. Like this looks so bad.
Well, I just thinking specifically back on GoldenEye, right? Everybody's favorite thing to do in a first-person shooter game is sniping.
Right.
And, nowadays you got your Halos, you got your Call of Duty Black Ops, you got those kinds of games. And the graphics, if we had seen the graphics of modern gaming in our youth when the 64 came out, we probably wouldn't have even recognized it as a video game.
Right.
We probably would have thought it was real life, right?
Probably.
But anyway, so we're, you look through it, and nowadays you got this, your sniping is so sharp. You look at it and you get the scope detail, you got the shake, you got the jitter, you got all the atmospheric distortion from all the clouds and smoke and fog and all those things.
Right.
But then you can zoom in on your scope and you can actually see the person, and you can almost see the bullet as it flies at the person, right?
Right.
But you look back, and when I went back and played GoldenEye 007 on 64 just a year and a half ago, I tried a little bit of sniping because that was, again, in that time period, that was the precursor to what we now know as being very popular, and it was very popular then too. And so I camped out on a tower in one of the levels with a sniper, and I brought in that scope, and I'm trying so hard to distinguish the actual people from the environment, and it's almost impossible because I don't know if anybody that knows anything about graphics and game design, the style of design and the render engines that they used back then were far and wide worse than what we have now.
Right.
They did everything. Of course, Nintendo was always a big proponent of this at the beginning, but they did polygonal character design, right? If you look at even the characters in GoldenEye that were very human-like and very realistic, you look at them and you can see the edges of the polygonal designs.
Sorry, I'm telling my daughter good night.
It's fine.
This is important.
We'll leave that in so people know you have a child.
I'm human. I love my baby.
So that people know that you're not just some nerdy fiend that disagreed with me on everything. But anyway, the graphics were I just remember watching it and playing it and thinking, wow, how did anybody ever understand that this was going to be great? Which is a perfect segue because I think at every juncture when something new is released, you think, how could it get any better? Same example with storage, right?
Right.
Or computer memory. I remember when I bought my first laptop for college, it was a Gateway computer, which I don't even think exists anymore.
No, I had an Acer.
Yeah, they're probably pretty the same.
Yeah.
Mine had 4 gigabytes of RAM.
Oh, it was, yeah.
And I think it might have had a 250 gig hard drive.
Mine was a 2 gig. 2 gig with 120. No, it was a 250 because it was a spindle drive. So it was a 250 drive or 250 gig drive.
Yeah.
And I remember that at 2 gig, and when I first got it, it was blazing fast.
Yeah, same with mine. And I'm
then
thinking to myself, such is the case with most computers. But I remember thinking to myself, in fact, it wasn't just me thinking to myself. It was when somebody asked me, like, why did you pay? Because I paid $550 for that thing, which was a good chunk of change for a broke college kid. And I think my brother or my mom or somebody asked me, like, well, why did you go to that level? Why did you spend that much? And I remember saying to them, because I want to get something I will never have to replace.
Right.
Literally the next week, I went back into Best Buy or wherever, and there was one with like 8 gigs of RAM and a 1 terabyte hard drive. And I'm like, what? But anyway, such is this case with graphics on video games. It seems like every time they come up with a new console, the same thing is said. I don't think it could be any better. Right? What was that first experience for you that happened?
For me, honestly, and this is going to sound really weird, like the Dreamcast. Okay? So I was big on the Dreamcast. And to this day, I think the Dreamcast is probably the most underrated console that there was.
Is that the one that's got the weird spidery looking controller?
It's a long controller.
Yeah.
It had like the memory card with the screen on it.
Yeah, okay. I remember.
So I remember when the Dreamcast came out, I thought that the Dreamcast was graphically, it was way ahead of its time. It was so good.
Did that come out pre or post PS1?
It came out post. So that came out in 98.
So they capitalized on the success of the PlayStation.
A little bit, yeah.
And it came out,
yeah. Okay. And it came out after the 64 as well.
Okay.
So it came out 2 years after the 64.
Okay.
But the Dreamcast, I mean, and the games on there, whether the sports games, but I remember playing Crazy Taxi, and Crazy Taxi was my jam. Like
Crazy Taxi was one of those crud. Just got that.
Oh no!
I literally spaced so hard right then. Arcade. Crazy Taxi is one of those arcade games.
Yes.
I remember because I saw it whenever I would go to like the pizza place. Like everybody has that
Godfathers?
pizza. Yeah, everybody has that pizza place whether it was like Mazzio's, all my Arkansas friends that listen to the show will remember Mazzio's, right? That was like the pizza place.
Ours was Godfather's, had all the games. Pizza Hut used to have games too.
Pizza Hut had some games, and then like CC's.
Oh, CC's.
Man, I miss CC's. Me and my buddy
$5 for a pizza buffet, dude. Sign me up right now. Let's go right now. I just had dinner. I'll go right now.
Shout out to my friend Brent. I don't know if he listens to this podcast. I might share this episode with him, but he and I and his wife and a couple other friends every Wednesday night for like, oh my goodness, like 2 years, we would go to CC's. There was the only CC's left in the whole state that we knew of, and we would go there and we'd have pizza every Wednesday night. And it was the best thing. So good.
Right.
But anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, video games.
Video games.
So you say Dreamcast, I say PS2. Now, there's a little bit of a difference in age, only a couple of years between the two of us, but I say PS2. And the reason I say PS2 is because I had a friend that had the PS1, right? And the PS1 was awesome. And I remember seeing a friend playing the PS1, playing the original Driver game.
Right.
Driver.
Yep.
Which was like a precursor, I think, to GTA. And I remember him driving around.
It wasn't a precursor. I don't think did Rockstar make that? I don't think Rockstar made that game. I don't think.
Not a precursor, as in like the one like
the open world idea or aspect.
Yeah, it was like a predecessor to it. Let's put it that way. Predecessor to GTA because it was like an open world, and then GTA came out right after that, and then Driver 2 came out after GTA, and they kind of played off of each other and built off of each other a little bit.
Right.
But I remember seeing my friend play Driver and thinking, wow, that is the most realistic. And it was just driving around, you know. Right. You got their third-person view of that car, and you're just driving around smashing into junk. And I remember thinking, this is legit. And so whenever PlayStation 2 came out, they released Driver 2.
Right.
And Driver 2 was revolutionary because Driver 2, you were no longer contained to the car. You could actually get out, and you could free roam, and you could pull out your M16 machine gun and just go to town. And I remember literally, and you'll sympathize with me on this, I'm sure, but I remember literally busting out Under Oath. What was that album that had the gas mask on the front?
They're Only Chasing Safety.
Only Chasing Safety album of Under Oath.
To this day, one of probably my 5 favorite albums of all time.
Great
just for the
album.
record.
And I remember literally turning that on and just sitting there, and I got the big monster truck.
Right.
And I would literally drive around and just smash into stuff and ramp stuff for hours.
Do you remember Gran Turismo for PS2, and there's on PS3 and now PS4? There's a version of it. So it was just a straight up driving game.
I do.
But
Yeah.
Cars, the cars and the tracks looked so lifelike.
Yeah, but the thing that always killed me, because I was such a fan of the Driver games, and one of the things that I loved about like Driver 2 specifically was the fact that it was your car would fall apart into pieces.
Right.
Like you could even drive it to the point you only had like 2 wheels left. Right, your tires would go flat. You'd be sparking everywhere. But then whenever you go and you play, you look at Gran Turismo and you're looking at it and you're thinking, wow, the graphics on this, the cars look more realistic and more like just good looking. And the visuals of the tracks and the weather elements and things were worlds beyond what they were in Driver. But whenever they got, you crash into a wall or you get hit by another car, the damage was just, it wasn't even close.
That was probably one of my biggest problems with like Gran Turismo, is that it was just so hard. Like anyone that's played Gran Turismo knows like that game was absolutely impossible to beat. Like it was.
Yeah, it was a monster.
So what do you play now? Like what do you personally at this point in your life? You're an adult. You have a full-time job.
Yeah.
What do you play now?
Well, here's the thing. So gaming for me in my life has taken a pretty steep downturn as a priority and as an interest.
Adulthood is the worst.
Kids, it really is.
Kids, listen.
Here's a PSA.
Let Papa Austin talk to you real quick, all right? Just take a minute, sit down, and let Daddy give you some advice, okay? Whatever you want to do in your life that is selfish, do it now. If you aspire to be a pro gamer, by all means, go for it in your teens. Because when you're in your 20s and you have a big boy job, you don't get to do this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Like like I've always joked about how big of a PS4 fan I was, and to this day, I still miss my PS4. But guess what? I had a kid, and that kid took major priority. When I was just married with no kid, I had Tuesday nights Tuesday night was my gaming night. Tuesday night was set aside for gaming. That was Haley had a show or two that she would watch, and she knew that on Tuesday nights I had a group that I gamed with every Tuesday night. I remember sitting there. When we had McKinley, I didn't play PS4 for I think 9 months. It was it would have been from April. She told me in March. She goes, better play now. because when you have McKinley, when we have McKinley, it's gonna be, and she didn't mean that in a way like, you have to play now because I'm not going to allow you to, but she knew that I would miss it.
Funny thing is that our viewer or listeners can't know is that she just walked into the studio and was just aggressively pointing at you, being like, "You full of it! You full of it!"
So the point was that so here comes literally New Year's Eve of last year. It's my first New Year's Eve with the kid. She's 8 months old. We're not going to a New Year's Eve party, so I go to GameStop, and they had a special going on where you got like extra credit towards a Switch if you traded in a PS4. So I traded in a PS4 with some of my games, extra controller, etc., and I got a Nintendo Switch with Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Which I want to discuss that more. I want you to discuss your console first, what you do now. But I interjected, so I'm sorry. I added my PSA to your story, but continue. Just remember, kids, do what you want to do now.
Do what you want to do. Live your best life now. Thanks, Joel Osteen.
Thanks, Joel. This is my Bible.
I think this is like the fifth time that Joel's made a cameo.
I believe what it says, and I will do what it says, except, anything that requires sacrifice.
Eventually, wow. Gosh.
I like Joel Osteen.
Eventually, Joel's going to have to actually pay us for these shout-outs.
He is. He's a snake oil salesman, too.
We're waiting for our check, Joel. We know you listen to our podcast. We're waiting for our check. So
you got the money for it, Joel. Come on.
Yeah, just send a couple million our way. You won't hurt your pocketbook any. So my current system. So, okay, I'll go back and I'll say my interest in gaming and my time for gaming has taken a pretty steep downturn just because of being an adult, working a day job. Plus, I also I focus a lot more on creative arts as far as creating and developing things on my own as opposed to just enjoying other people's creative endeavors. That being said, I do still do a little bit of gaming. I'm not nearly at the level that you were when you were in my demographic as a single man. Or most other people in my demographic, I would imagine. But I do my fair share. And one of the things that I love is I'm an absolute sucker for a visually striking game, an open world game, and a game that is a long gameplay, something that I can be engaged for a while in, that has a good story. And it has turned out that PlayStation 4 is the console, in my experience, for that experience. And I say that strategically because of two things, primarily one over the other. The first being the Uncharted series. I don't think I've ever played a video game series that I loved as much as that one. And it was just absolutely phenomenal. Played through most of the first one, played through and beat the second and the third. Still haven't gotten the fourth. I'm about 1.5 years, 2 years behind on that one, but I'm waiting patiently for that one.
Now, so I never played the Uncharted games. Are they good?
Oh, they're so good. Okay, here's the thing.
I played part of the first one, like 20 minutes of it, and then I don't remember what I think that I got a different game. I never picked it back up. Like I think I liked the idea of it. What did I had Uncharted.
Yeah.
Okay. This was back in my Xbox 360 days. I had Uncharted for I had Uncharted Gears of War, and so I tried Uncharted, and then I popped in Gears of War to see what it was like because I ever said it was so good.
Yeah,
and then I never played Uncharted again.
Yeah,
I'll continue. Sorry,
I can understand that would be the case. I've got several friends who are absolute fans of the Gears of War franchise, but I will say. What I loved about Uncharted was that it was a story-led gameplay with an open world feel, right? It felt very open world, but it was guided gameplay, which I really liked that blend of the two, right? And if you've ever played any of the newer Tomb Raider games, they're very much that same thread, that same style. But they're so good. And the storyline, what I loved about it was that it was more of an interactive movie, really, than it was just a game. A movie that was 15 hours long, but that you could play along with. And it was up to you to actually make the story happen.
Right.
The only other games that I really, really, really like are those massive open world games, right? You've got your Assassin's Creed style games, and now I think it's Bethesda Games just released the new Spider-Man game, which I pre-ordered, even though I'm not a huge gamer, but I pre-ordered it. Absolutely not a sponsor, but I absolutely love that game.
The visuals off from the game looked phenomenal. They're
phenomenal. So good. They're so good. And it's open world with a actual LED gameplay, like story LED gameplay element, but it's massive open world.
So all right, so in that sense, it's a bit like Arkham, the Arkham series, where it's open world. But you've got little side missions you can do.
Exactly.
But there's also a main storyline driving the story.
Yeah.
Do you care to guess the number of Xbox Ones that have been sold in the U.S.?
Oh, we're doing gaming trivia now?
Just a side note. I just found this online, and I'm curious if you know.
The number of consoles sold in the U.S.?
Yeah, Xbox One.
Xbox One. Okay, well, there are roughly 370 million residents, legal residents of the United States.
Yes.
Continental, or maybe that's the full United States.
US,
I'm not sure.
Just U.S.
Continentally, I think there are roughly around 370 million. Of those 370 million, I would say at least a good 3/4. So I'd say let's say 280 million
units.
So
as of January 16th, now.
Okay.
Microsoft does not release the numbers on consoles sold. The first release they said was that in November 2014 they had sold 10 million units.
In the continental United States?
In continental U.S.
10 million?
Yeah. In January 2016, EA let it slip that they had sold around 19 million units.
Oh, so I was way over.
But they have yet they do not release sales figures. PS4, on the other hand, as of January, as of December 2017, 70.6 million. It appears that from even rough estimates that the PlayStation 4 has quickly outsold or greatly outsold the Xbox One.
Here's the thing, and here's the thing that a lot of people like. A lot of people don't think about. People are like raving about the Xbox One or the Xbox One Plus, the newest iteration of the Xbox that's out, and they're raving about it with its 4K graphics and so on and so forth. But the problem with Xbox that I've always had an issue with is you can't do anything on it without paying for something else. Most of the time, at least from my experience, you have to have a paid subscription service account with Xbox to be able to do anything, to play online, to do anything with any games, anything of quality. You have to pay extra for it. It didn't used to be that way when the 360 was out. When it was the premier console, it only just started getting into that. But then this whole craze, which we won't talk about too much, but this whole subscription-based product craze flew through and started right there with them, that you couldn't really even play the console without having a subscription. That's where I think PlayStation really overtook, because PlayStation was looked upon for a long time as the lesser console, especially when contrasted between, I think it was the PS2 or no, was it PS2 and 360 or PS3 and 360?
PS3. It was PS3 and 360. Okay,
so PS3 and 360 were neck and neck, but I think at the time, even to me, we had a 360 and a PS3 in my house at one point. I think I liked the games better on 360, and I thought it was a stronger, more fluid system. But then whenever they started charging you out the nose for everything, and making you have a subscription for everything, and then PlayStation, they just were like, no, don't worry about it. you know?
Right.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, so full disclosure, as a former PS4 person, so PS4 same way, they you had to pay to play online, which is kind of stupid. But now, as of January this past year, I have been Team Switch. So I got into Nintendo Switch, and it's hard going from a console to handheld. Okay. Because I don't frankly consider it necessarily mobile gaming, but I do consider it. It's at least an in-law of mobile gaming, because it
like
is,
the Nintendo DS
right
Plus.
So it's very, very portable. So
DS Max.
I
follow the Apple. verbiage.
love every single bit of the Switch.
Yeah.
I think that the rough estimates say that right now the Switch will outsell the PS4 and the Xbox One this year, which isn't surprising. I mean, it is a newer console, so you get that bump in sales. But they've got so many games coming out that are just good. Like Mario Odyssey was phenomenal. Breath of the Wild was great.
Yeah.
Right now I'm playing Dark Souls Remastered, which game is infuriatingly difficult. But it is so much fun. Like, it's a blast.
Like Ninja Gaiden, like the most impossible game to beat ever.
Just dumb.
Yeah.
So you sit there and you have this handheld device. If anyone's ever on the Switch or on the fence about a Switch, I can't recommend it enough. It's a great. You've come over and we played 4-player Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And it's an absolute blast.
The thing that I like about the Switch, the thing that they did well, because Nintendo kind of squandered for a few years. They had I think it was the GameCube was their last big one before like the Nintendo Wii.
Yeah, and then the Wii U came out.
And the Wii U. Oof. And those games were those consoles were just forgettable.
Although I will openly say that I really do pray that they bring like Mario Maker to the Wii or to the Switch. I love the idea of Mario Maker so much. Like, I want to play Mario Maker so bad.
Yeah, it's possible. I'm sure that the people who run Nintendo are listening to our podcast. So listen, Nintendo executives, bring it back. You heard it here first. But no, I will say that one of the things that the Nintendo Switch does well is they marry the two. They marry the mobile experience, the portability of mobile gaming, with the quality of console gaming, but at the same time, the quality and experientialness of a console game with the actual gesture-based thing of like the Wii, right? The Wii, one of the things that made it so popular was that it was literally more kind of a physical activity.
Right.
You could actually get exercise by playing video games,
exactly,
which was revolutionary. They didn't do a great job of it with that console, but now that you have...
It was a great idea.
Yeah, it was a great idea. But now that you have the ability to not only take your console with you and play it on the go, but you can also pop your controllers off the side of it, play it as a regular console plugged up to a television, or even as a Wii-style console.
Right.
That's great. I think that's fantastic. Plus, you're not really... I mean, you are a little bit, but you're not sacrificing tons and tons of graphic, like visual quality like you were going from the PS3 or the Xbox 360 to the Wii. Like, that was the biggest thing that I think that, Nintendo oversold that.
Huge drop.
But it was a massive decline in visual.
Well, and when the Wii came out, people still wanted the graphics.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with the Switch, is that I think people are willing to accept a little bit of a downgrade for the portability. They have games like Doom, stuff like that are AAA titles, and Wolfenstein. They're AAA titles that are available on the Switch. And what they've done is that they've modified the backgrounds and kind of downgraded the backgrounds to give the user as good of an image in playing as they can, while still keeping the game as full as possible.
Right.
So it's smart.
Right.
They've done it the right way.
Yeah,
for sure.
and I think that the way that Nintendo is approaching it, maintaining what it is that made the Wii a desirable experience, because it was more than just a gaming experience. It was a physically interactive, and it's basically just this side of like virtual reality, which I really liked. And then they're maintaining the things that made that so much fun, while at the same time leaning more into what, mobile processors and laptop processors, things that are able to be mobile, what they're capable of visually.
Exactly.
I mean, if you look at it, right, like Apple just released their new iPad, right? And one of the things that they claimed in their WWDC or whatever it was called, what would David care about? I don't know what that.
Sure.
Anyway,
Worldwide Developer Conference.
That's the one.
For the record.
One of the things that they touted in that was the graphic ability of the processor and the visual ability of the actual iPad overall, and that gaming would get closer to more of a console quality game,
right?
Which I think is great, and I think that anything they can do in that regard to move themselves into that kind of gaming area, I think that's really going to move it forward in the next phase, which is a perfect segue to our next topic. But before we get there, I think this is a good spot to pause for a second and talk about our sponsors, give our shout out to our sponsors. We've got 2 brand new sponsors, and we are super pumped about them.
Very, very excited about it. So the first one is probably one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. I am a absolute sucker when it comes to like men's grooming products, and pampering myself, I guess, is kind of the worst way that I could word that.
Yeah.
But there's a company called Dr. Squatch, and they have these soaps that are all natural soaps. There's no chemicals,
shampoos, all kinds of things.
It's phenomenal.
Made with essential oils, made with all natural ingredients.
Right. Coconut oil. And I mean, there's no, for I have sensitive skin. It's great for me. I've been using it for a few days now. Zero irritation. The stuff is, it lathers well. It washes super, it rinses super well. I highly, highly recommend Dr. Squatch. You can find them at www.drsquatch.com.
Squatch, for the record, is spelled Squatch. And for those who don't understand what we're talking about,
Sasquatch.
Squatch as in Sasquatch. Okay? So here's the thing. Dr. Squatch is a really, really cool company, startup company. They started only maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah, not long ago.
I actually jumped on the bandwagon with them. I don't know that they know this, but I jumped on the bandwagon with them with their Kickstarter campaign and tried out some of their products. And one of the things that they sent me as a bonus for joining on their Kickstarter was one of the bars that you actually got with your promo package, which is the pine tar scented soap bar. And let me just tell you guys, not to keep going on about this, but the pine tar scented soap bar smells woodsy, earthy, feels great when you wash with it, and it's got exfoliant in it that's like oats.
Oh, so good.
Oats and something else. I can't remember what's in there, but it's like you scrub with it and you feel clean, but it smells good, and it's just great. It feels good on your skin. It's just a great experience. So check out Dr. Squatch.com, DRSQUATCH.com, and pick you up some Squatch soap.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
Tell them the A&D Show sent you.
Yeah, tell them the A&D Show sent you, and you probably won't get a discount, but hey, they'll at least love to know that we're helping them out.
But if you want a discount,
here's the thing: we've got another sponsor that we're pretty particularly excited about.
I'm actually really excited about this one. Many of you may the craze right now is the subscription box services.
Yes,
that are out there. Everyone likes, you spend $25 a month and you get a box full of stuff.
Yeah,
and
some of them are manly,
right?
Some of them are
womanly.
Others are non-gender specific.
They've also got dog ones,
yeah,
like that. So
some
there's
of them are food based.
Oh, so good. We'll talk later.
We need to hit up the ones with the snacks.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So we talked to Loot Crate,
lootcrate.com,
and they've come on board to sponsor our podcast. Loot Crate is a subscription based service for nerds and geeks alike. It's $25 a month. Mm-hmm. You get a box full of stuff that typically your total value of the box is well over $50.
Yeah.
And then every month you also get a T-shirt of some kind. They send you a T-shirt in your box every month. So if you go to lootcrate.com/AD show, that's lootcrate.com/AD show, you will get 10% off your first order. And use that promo code if you're ordering from Loot Crate. That helps to let them know that we sent you,
and it helps to support the show, and it helps to support a great company.
Yeah, the Loot Crate's awesome. If you've ever seen their stuff, we're going to start doing some unboxings on our YouTube channel, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Check us out on YouTube at the A&D Show. For any of our video content, we're going to start doing a few more things like that. Some unboxing, some other sponsorships that we're going to do on there. So check us out on there, but also take some time, go over to lootcrate.com/AD show. Get yourself a discount on a Loot Crate box today. All right. Now back to the podcast. So the last few things that we're going to talk about before we end today's episode. First of all, I want to talk about phone/mobile gaming. Now, we've already talked about the iPad, the new iPad from Apple, and how much that's going to improve the gameplay experience on a mobile device. But I will give a quick shout out. I've been playing this game on my phone. I think I've told you about it.
You have. You told me about it last night.
It's actually really interesting. It's not necessarily a thing that you would think about as like being, look at that great, fun, addictive game. But it's actually really interesting. It's a game called Terra Genesis. If you've been on Facebook at all, or you're a nerd or a geek, or you're on Instagram at all, I'm sure you've seen it advertised. It's pretty interesting. It's not really a game. It's more of a strategy thing. But what it is you choose a planet, whether in our solar system, fictional, a moon of another planet in our solar system, whatever. And you basically do everything you can do to populate it and to terraform it to turn it into an Earth-like planet, or for any of our science geeks out there, a Minshara class planet. And I chose, when I first started playing it, they're not a sponsor, so this isn't paid promotion, but when I started playing it, I chose Mars because, what's cooler than colonizing Mars right now? Like that's everybody's everybody's dream right now.
That's even Trump's dream right now. So.
Right. So I chose Mars and I started colonizing it. This has been, a couple days ago in real time. It's been 800 years ago in the game time, and it took me 800 years, but I have now successfully colonized Mars, terraformed it to be an Earth atmosphere planet, and I have almost 10 million inhabitants living on my terraformed planet.
That's exciting.
That's pretty awesome. Now, you're asking yourself, well, how could that really be all that fun? It's really not all that fun, but it is interesting. It's intriguing because I think about it. I'm playing this little game and I'm thinking, wow, well, how cool would it be to actually be on a terraformed Mars? That'd be pretty dope, right?
Right.
So my question is phone gaming, mobile gaming, is it a viable thing? I mean, I saw, quick shout out to High Five Studios and their Dope or Nope channel on YouTube. Check them out. They did a video a few weeks ago about gaming on mobile devices, or 10 gaming things that you won't believe, or one of those kitschy clickbaity type things. Right. And they talked about some of the actual apparatus you can get for your phone to make your phone play games like an actual console. And some of those things are pretty dope.
Right.
Some of the games that are out there are pretty dope. Some of them are getting pretty expensive too. I'm thinking, I saw one the other day, it was $25 for a single game on your phone, a mobile app. And I'm thinking, that's a little too much money for my pocketbook, but
rich for my blood.
Yeah. So, is that a viable option? I mean, is phone gaming, is mobile gaming something? Is that the direction that gaming is headed?
Well, and I think that's why the Switch is so popular. I think that because people are, I don't want to use the phrase homeless, but I mean, they really are, especially young people. Not homeless, homeless.
The whole of humanity is homeless.
Primarily young people are just, they're just homeless than they are. Than people used to. People like to be out.
Yeah.
And portability is a big thing. And that's why I think that there's such a huge demand, and why the Switch has done so well.
Yeah.
It's just purely from the portability aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that mobile gaming is a very viable gaming option. My mom plays games on her cell phone like crazy.
With that in mind, what do you think about the future of gaming? Do you think that that gaming and console gaming will eventually dissipate into basically what the Switch is now, with a console that doubles as a mobile device? Or do you think it'll eventually mold into this thing where, kind of like with the new iPad, where you've got this USB-C plug-in, you can plug a monitor into it, where you could basically take your mobile device and hook it up to a TV and play it that way?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that's a hard question to ask.
Yeah,
and that's that's one of the things with the Switch is that with the Switch, you've seen it. You can play either unplugged or plugged in.
Yeah,
and so will more places go that way? I could see Sony with the PlayStation trying a portable option. The question is that with a lot of the AAA titles. Which if I've used that phrase twice tonight. AAA titles are basically like the big marquee games, like the big games that are coming out. Yeah. Those are AAA games. Would developers be okay downgrading the graphic qualities of their games?
Yeah.
Just to go portable, and you're seeing with some games they are they redid Dark Souls Remastered. They remade that for the Switch, or did it for the Switch. Or you've got LA Noire was set for the Switch, or
they remastered a number of the Final Fantasy games.
They're actually getting ready to come out with Final Fantasy VII for the Switch and
remastered.
I can't wait.
My sister-in-law loved that. She's a huge fan of that game.
I was too. But like I said, so it's one of those things where will it work? I think so. I could see others doing it. It's just a matter of who will take that first step. Who will be the first company to do it?
Yeah,
because somebody will have to kind of suck it up and take a shot at it.
I think if I were to predict gaming, like the future of gaming, I would venture to say that gaming will progress. I think we'll have some other companies that'll step into that realm, or companies that will partner with other companies. I think that a lot of these game developers are going to start partnering with Apple. For example, look at the way that Adobe is partnering with Apple, right? Mm-hmm. They're partnering with Apple on mobile applications that are full-fledged versions of their actual design applications, designed specifically around their mobile operating systems, right?
I agree.
And because of the huge leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else that Apple has on the tablet PC or the tablet computer, I think that Apple will begin to develop or work with other developers gaming wise on what I think could possibly be the future of gaming. The experience you have with the Switch, I think, will eventually become something that is available, if not commonplace, on iPads, on cell phones, across the board, across the gamut. I think that's probably, if I were to make a prediction, I think that would probably be what it is.
And I would disagree. I think you're going to see a lot more portability options. You're going to see a lot more places try to say, okay, how can I make this more portable?
Yeah.
You already see on Android phones there's Android app, and I think it's on iPhone now where you can actually play PS4 on your phone.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like FaceTime for your PS4. That's an option now, and I think you'll see more places at least try that. I know with the Xbox One, you can I could be at work and play Xbox One on my computer if I had an Xbox One from my office, which would be actually kind of awesome now as an adult. But I also have to have work. Wouldn't be that great for me. I love the idea of it, but I'm afraid that would get too distracted having the Xbox One right at my desk. But
if there's anything that we don't need as people, much less as a society, is more distractions.
I do think that there are definitely going to be some cool options out there in the future when it comes to portability, but I think it's yet to see what those options are going to be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sold.
I'm down.
I mean, hook me up, get me going. Let's do this thing.
All the games. I think that gaming is just something that people just enjoy. It's a way to unplug. That was the way that I unplugged for any.
You unplug by plugging in,
right?
Yeah, I get you.
So if your significant other is a gamer, don't knock them down for it. Don't squash what they enjoy.
Don't squash the gaming.
Let them have fun. So guys and girls both game. In fact, maybe game with them. Maybe you'll like it.
Yeah, jump in there. Play a little Uncharted. Or anything. I think Uncharted's kind of a single player
Rainbow
thing.
Six Siege was still my jam.
Oh, you right.
That was my jam.
You so right.
Then
me and my brother and a couple other friends getting Rainbow Six Siege. No. SOCOM U.S. Navy SEALs on Xbox.
You're thinking of Rainbow Six Vegas.
Oh yeah,
which that was like a 4-player masterpiece.
Come on now. Come on.
Tom Clancy, you can make movies and games.
Listen,
God
Tom.
bless you. He's dead.
Thank you, Tom.
He's
God
dead.
rest your soul.